A firearm kills one person every 17 minutes. 87 people are killed during an average day, and 609 are killed every week. Gun violence incidents are increasing every year. Currently, public health experts lack basic information on the roots of gun violence and how to prevent it. This topic is relevant to my fellow classmates because gun violence affects our country and our people. We need to support this research so we can make this a safer world to live in. This topic is very interesting to me because it is an issue we need to research so we can stop gun violence. When finding my research, I read various articles and read statistics from the Center of Disease Control and Prevention. I've always seen many gun violence related incidents through media and always wonder why this keeps happening and what we can do. Living in Colorado, I remember when I was in elementary school and the Columbine school shooting happened. I was too young to understand what was going on and why we were doing a lockdown. Even though I didn't understand, I could see that everyone was devastated and wondered why. Why would anyone do this? I will discuss what the editorial board for the New York Times said about federal funding for research on gun violence and why I agree that funding should be allocated so that the CDC can study gun violence in the U.S., which may lead to policies that could prevent gun violence. I'll present the author's main claim, why I agree with their claim, and the evidence to support it. I received my information from the New York Times editorial board. The New York Times is an American daily newspaper published out of New York City. It is one of America's most popular news sites with a variety of current topics. The editorial board is composed of 18 journalists with wide-ranging areas of expertise. The journalists' expertise range in areas from culture, international affairs, to business. Their primary responsibility is to write the Times editorials, which represent the voice of the board, the editor, and the publisher. The editorial board's main argument is they believe federal funding for research on gun violence is necessary to understand the threat and identify potential solutions. To support the claim, the author used ethos, pathos, and logos to persuade the audience. The editorial board for the New York Times showed credibility by stating examples of school shootings, such as the Sandy Hook Elementary shooting, and provided quotes from representatives in the White House. The author employs logos by suggesting that through the research we will be able to see the effectiveness of various gun violence prevention strategies. Research would examine how young people acquire and use guns, also examining its causes to its costs. Lastly, the author uses logos, pathos, by stating that $10 million to study the problem is a small price to pay to prevent deaths and injuries caused by guns. The evidence then shows resistance by Republicans to fund this research. It compares the necessity of such research to that is done on car crashes and smoking. This is showing analogical evidence because this is a topic that is under research. Since research on gun violence has never been done before, there is not statistics or facts on its success rate. The structure of this article is problem solution. It is intended to change the minds of people and to show how important the issue is and what actions need to be taken. It is extremely effective and appropriate that this editorial was published. The article opened the door and showed that there needs to be changes because this is a serious problem in our society and it should be addressed. I agree that $10 million should be allocated so that the CDC can study gun violence in the U.S., which may lead to policies that can prevent gun violence. In America, gun violence kills twice as many children as cancer, and yet political grandstanding has halted funding for public health research to understand this crisis. We know from other examples that research can produce dramatic and life-saving results, said Maloney, a representative. In 2010, more than 105,000 people were injured or killed in the United States as the result of a firearm-related incident. Some recent highly publicized tragic mass shootings occurred in Newtown, Connecticut, Aurora, Colorado, Oak Creek, and Tucson, Arizona. From these recent shootings, it has brought to our attention and the interest to protect our communities from the effects of gun violence. While many Americans legally use firearms for a variety of activities, fatal and non-fatal firearms violence poses a serious threat to public safety. Since 2014, in the first 6 weeks, there's been a rate of more than 3 incidents a month, including 13 school shootings. Gun violence is erupting in America's schools and at colleges at an increasing rate. One of the most recent school shootings was at UCSB, killing 7 people, including himself. The shooter left various videos and written manifestos saying that he was seeking to kill sorority women and others at the university as revenge for the way women rejected him. If we had funding for research, I believe this situation could have not happened. Through research, we will be able to understand why this happened and ways to prevent future incidents. In the New York Times article, Legislating Ignorance About Guns, describes how there is an increase in school shootings and how the author believes that public health experts still lack basic information about gun violence. I agree that $10 million should be allocated so that the CDC can study gun violence in the U.S., which may lead to policies that could prevent gun violence. You should agree with my position on this topic so we can stop asking ourselves why this happened. Making these changes will potentially prevent future gun violence situations, making our country a safer place to live.